What's up guys, it is that Pentagon. I'm here again with another video, and today we're going to be looking at the new hero Eileen Volt. I am pretty excited to talk about this as I do think that infantry very much needed these changes on the field, as I feel like infantry has been pretty saturated lately if you look at heroes like Bodala, Marco, Stella, and the reason I say this is you have so many heroes that are super tank oriented, right? And having tank oriented heroes isn't a bad thing, but when meta shifting so much, like you got so many, and to be fair, I will say range obviously is very glass cannon based as a unit in general, but when you have so many heroes that are able to just put out so much damage that are glass cannon based, when you have so many infantry marches that revolve around just being tanky and putting out very little damage to just get focus last, I feel like there's a limit to how much like how bad it gets, right? In this kind of case, right, I'm just happy that we have someone who is a glass cannon. Infantry gives you more of a variety on field, right? Because if I'm gonna run 2 infantry marches or 3 infantry marches, I get my hands tied down pretty hard, whereas with someone like Eileen, I'm able to mix it up a lot more. Even the new hero Boyd, right? And I will be talking about him in another video, but I do like these heroes in the field overall. You know, it kind of gives me the same feeling that you get from Miyamoto and a Dut, except kind of an upgrade, right? So I am just happy to see this, and I am happy to cover this. So I will start off by saying they are the talent tree is a skill build, so you know, pretty on point with what I was expecting. This is a roulette hero, so this is going to be more accessible by the vast majority. Generally, field heroes are roulette heroes, so this wasn't really out of the ordinary. But let's go into our first skill. So our first skill has the average rage required, which is 1000. It deals damage to the target, the damage factor going up to 14,000. And when your own squad, and when own squad size is more than 50%, so when your squad size is over the 50% mark, you deal damage, the damage factor going up to 8,000 to up to 2 other nearby enemy targets. And what makes this skill especially effective is that when you look at heroes like Lewis, or you look at just really any AoE heroes for the most part, they have a decrease in how much damage they're able to output, right? Whenever you have multiple squads within the vicinity. So even if they are AoE heroes, that 13,000 damage that a hero might have will get decreased by, let's say, 15% or whatever the case, right? Because of these additional squads in the field, which are soaking up the damage factor, which isn't really a bad thing, but in this case, this makes this far more effective, because if you are fighting, let's say, 3 squads, you're dealing 16,000 damage to the 2 squads and 14,000 to the squad that you're focusing, which is absolutely insane. This is a crazy skill if you ask me, right? And I do think that her awaken skill is pretty important to mention, so we will talk about it before we go into the other 3 skills. So her awaken skill, basically the only change here is this this damage factor, right? It goes from the 14,000 to 14.5 thousand, and this changes from being 50%, right? So this goes from the 50% when your squad size is more than 50%. This goes from that to just being a basic skill, meaning that even if you're under 50%, this skill is going to be triggered, which I find kind of crazy of a change. So I do think that this awaken skill is pretty nice, but it basically goes from an 8,000 damage factor to an 8.5 thousand damage factor, meaning that you're dishing out 17,000 instead of 16,000 in this skill alone to 2 other enemy squads. I will say that this the only drawback to this awaken skill is if you are doing like running ones with someone, right? Obviously the second part of the skill kind of becomes nada, meaning that you're only increasing with the awaken skill the addition of the 14,000 you know, to 14.5k. You're only getting an additional 500 skill damage factor. But I do find this skill especially effective if you are like a big murder ball fighter, or you're a big 5v5 fighter on the field, if you get what I'm saying. So this is a just really nice skill. So I am just excited. I'm just excited for this hero, honestly. This is a really nice skill just to start off the whole bunch. This alone left me satisfied. So now let's go into the second skill. The second skill, basically, it increases your infantry squad attack by 20%. This 20% is, you know, just flat. And basic attacks have a 20% chance to deal additional damage. The damage factor being 1.5k. This effect can be triggered up to 1 time every 3 seconds. If the target is flanked, the damage factor is increased to 2.5k. I do find this to be pretty decent. I mean, I don't really care for it all that much, to be honest. The infantry squad attack 20% is nice, but the damage factor, I mean, not to mention that this is a 20% proc and there is a cooldown on this. I don't find this to be very crazy. I still find it to be, you know, pretty decent. The flank thing is kind of interesting because what I do kind of like is when you think about how the first skill works, right? Especially pre-awaken, where it's whenever you're over 50% squad HP, you deal the 8,000 damage, right? So basically, if people swarm you to get you under the half health, they basically allow you to trigger this 2.5k over the 1.5k. Just something I found kind of interesting overall. And one thing I do want to mention about the 50% thing, I do think this is kind of interesting because in general, this is still an infantry march, so range and riders are probably going to get focused more. So unless you're running 4 or 5 infantry marches, this is going to be pretty nice. I mean, obviously, this is probably going to be a primary infantry target hero if you're primarily hitting infantry, but in general, this is pretty nice because nonetheless, you are probably going to waddle around on the field a little bit longer, and you're going to stay over that 50%, so you're going to be able to kind of utilize this secondary skill factor. Unless people just decide, hey, it's better to get rid of this Eileen instead of getting rid of this Sophie, right? But just in general, I found it kind of interesting. And obviously, once you awaken this, I guess this doesn't really make focusing her really important for the 50% because she's still going to trigger that secondary skill factor anyways. So I don't know. The third skill, though, increases your infantry squad damage by 10%. And then basically the rest of the skill, when attacking squads not garrisoned or in a rally, it increases the basic attack damage by 20% and reduces the counter damage received by 10%. I like these stats. The only thing that sucks is right here it says when attacking squads not garrisoned or in a rally. So this is especially ineffective for people who swarm rallies, swarm towers, or even want to send her as a rally hero because you're not going to be utilizing the rest of this. But basically, if you're swarming a garrison, obviously this is not going to be very, useful. If you're swarming a rally, it doesn't seem like it's going to be useful just because of how they word this. I imagine like I'm just freaking wrong. That's going to be insane. But yeah, not bad though. They are definitely leaning her to be a really nasty field hero, so I am looking forward to that. In her fourth skill, increase infantry squad attack increases by 35% and travel speed increases by 20%. And I do like that they added the travel speed in here simply because this will make her a pretty effective duo with someone like Miyamoto or someone like a Dutt. It's just kind of giving her more ground to stand on, which I find kind of interesting. The increase in infantry squad attack being 35% is really nasty, so I like that. But honestly, I do want to just hear what you guys think. I do think this is a pretty good hero. I'm sorry, by the way, my game's been really laggy recently. I don't know why. So you will keep seeing my thing freezing throughout this video. I'm sorry. But yeah, I do appreciate you guys. You guys let me know in the comments what you guys think about Eileen. But yeah, that is all my input on this hero. I did want to just cover skills a little bit, talk about it. I do appreciate you guys for watching as always, though. I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I hope I did give you guys a little bit of insight on it. But yeah, I do appreciate you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Drop a comment and let me know what you guys think. And yeah, that is about it. And peace out.